What's up, YouTube? I have scoured the internet, all raid class, to try to find the best money making method that is around 10x or so, and I just couldn't find it. And then I thought to myself, what would I do if I hated my life? And yeah, it's five-way carries. And five-way carries have been around forever. Everyone knows it's always the best money making method. Usually people don't really like five-way carries because it's pretty repetitive and it requires interacting with a lot of people. But as you can see here in the video, this is the gameplay loop. You're running around in circles. You're like a NASCAR driver, just doing laps and laps and laps while 5 people are there sucking you off and leeching you off for XP. So this is pretty much the whole gameplay loop, but this is definitely probably the last money making method that's above like 10x per hour that I currently know of that involves playing the game and not crafting or flipping items. The new Atlas and expansion has definitely raised the floor of people's currency making generation. So most people are able to make like 2-3x per hour relatively easily. But being able to make above 5 to 6x per hour has turned into something that's pretty hard with how common scarabs are and how cheap most of the things are. But as you can see here, these are the 5 emblems you need, and we're going to get straight into it and go over how you can actually do this method, how much profit is in this method, and where all the money actually comes from. So you might be wondering how I found this out, and I found this out pretty much because I did this before in one of the leagues. I actually didn't really like doing it that much, purely because it crashed a lot back in the day. I don't think it crashes as much right now because they fixed it. But before, you would crash like once every 4 or 5 runs, and it would make the profit margin a lot worse. And then you would have to re-invite everyone, and it was actually just a nightmare. So basically, I started to use my brain after seeing how cheap Legion emblems were. I have been doing Delimir for quite a few days, and I have been running Legion Scarab on them. And every single day I go to sell the Scarabs, I check the prices, and they just made me sad because, or sell the emblems, I mean. They just make me sad. I look at the prices. Marikav emblem 35 chaos. This usually is a 1 exalt. Templar emblem 19 chaos. Timeless Vault emblem 7 chaos. Eternal emblem 6 chaos. Karui emblem 6 chaos. So almost all of these emblem prices are cut roughly in half or even more. And this is especially astounding, especially at this point in the league. Last league, 1 week in, Glorious Vanity was probably still worth around 4 exalts. But right now, I think Glorious Vanity is probably sub 1 exalts, meaning that the prices are absolutely rock bottom. And this is pretty much a byproduct of the Atlas, right? The Atlas just has too many ways for noobs and beginners to get everything they need. So right away, if you go look at our Atlas right now, you can be able to spec into emblematic. You don't need to spec into any. You don't need to do anything special. You don't need to roll any watch nodes, and these nodes are better than ever. And this is like emblematic, and with these nodes, it's pretty much just as good as pre-nerf emblematic almost. And then every single thing has a war horde, and you can even take these nodes down here for more sergeants and more rewards. And this thing, I think actually one of the nodes in Legion duplicates it. This one here gives you 4% chance to be duplicated. So basically, you could get an absolutely insane amount of Legion splinters and emblems with almost no investment and just putting scarabs on the map. So let's go see what exactly the 5-way carry actually does. So 5-way carry overview is that people buy 5-way carries because they're either bad or lazy players and they want to get to level 100 so they can play with a build with all of the passive points. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. There are certain builds like Aura Stacker back in the day where you actually need to be like level 95 in order for the build to come together. So it's very, very important, and this is an essential service, but it's also why level 100 in softcore trade is often meaningless, because everyone who gets 100, I guarantee you, most likely more often than not, probably bought a 5-way carry to get to 100. And it takes less than half a day to go from 60 to 100 if you get a top tier service provider. Now, you can generally find 5-way carries on either the global chat or TFT Discord. TFT Discord, you just go to here. And as I see here, this is what it looks like. You go to the softcore, ARCHNEMESIS services, and you go to 5-way hosting, and you will find a bunch of people doing it. And yeah, there's kind of a lot of competition for people doing it at this point, especially at this time of day. And it really just depends on what you charge. But they are still charging the same price, right? These are roughly the same prices as they've always been charging, with the emblems being half off, right? So they're actually making it a complete killing. I do think that as more people do this, their profit margins will shrink, but as of this moment, it is absolutely insane. So basically, they charge around 2x for 5 runs as filler and 1.5x for 5 runs as resetter. So for people who don't really know, in the Legion emblem, someone has to stand in the middle and run out of this middle circle and then run back in as often as possible so that the mobs will respawn. And that's something that one person will always need to do. And because this person is not really like fully AFK and has to do more work, generally they've charged a lot less, right? And you can see here, this person actually charges less for an Aura Bot because the Aura Bot actually keeps the group safe. And so if you are AFKing or you don't dodge the volatiles, then you will be more likely to survive. And most builds are playing a 3x Inspire Learning and Headhunter with either Kinetic Blast or Lightning Arrow. So let's go see what the build actually is. They always use 3x Inspire Learning, Headhunter, and Solstice Vigil to make the buffs last as long as possible. So with this method, they are using the Headhunter belt, which steals all of the mods from rares. They're using Inspire Learning, which actually steals only one mod from a rare, and that actually stacks with Headhunter. And they use Solstice Vigil, which gives a Shaper's Presence for 10 seconds when you kill a rare or unique enemy. And what this means is Shaper's Presence makes it so that the buff lasts like twice as long. So therefore, they're able to get Headhunter buffs and Inspire Learning buffs that last forever. And then this allows them to kill even more mobs and scaling their damage that way. So basically, they just end up being a gigantic beast as they take Soul Eater and they just one-shot the whole screen while pretty much being able to stand still. So they also use Mark of the Elder and Shaper Ring because they're unbeatable damage combo due to Crown of Eyes scaling spell damage. So Crown of Eyes gives you spell damage, Crown of Eyes gives you attack damage based on your spell damage at 150% value. And Mark of the Elder and Mark of the Shaper both give an insane amount of attack damage and spell damage. And Mark of the Elder actually gives you a bunch of flat cold. So very, very good and very, very strong and easy to obtain items. Now, Shadows and Dust are also necessary for Rampage. Rampage is actually extremely crucial as you get 1,000 Rampage stacks super easily, and you're able to just zoom with that amount of Rampage. And each time you Rampage reaches a specific level, it also adds a little bit of clear. Esh's Mirror and Mantra of Flames are needed to stack the flat elemental damage to extreme levels. So this is kind of similar because you're able to get so many buffs from the Headhunter and Inspire Learning that the Esh's Mirror and Mantra of Flames will give you an insane amount of flat damage. So Mantra of Flames will give you a flat damage per buff you have on you, and Esh's Mirror gives you flat lightning damage based on how many mobs you've recently killed. So now let's see how much profit these people are actually making. Not too long ago, there was a famous video from Fast App that was how we print approximately 100x per hour. And you can see here's the cute little Headhunter and 3 Inspire Learnings and the 5 emblems. But 100x per hour is definitely not possible. They did include the 2 mirrors they got in the drops to get to 100x per hour. So each run roughly takes around 6 minutes, and that is very, very optimal. You can optimally do 10 runs per hour. And this is under optimized settings if you have a full group that stays around and you're not really finding people the whole time. So you get 2 exalts per 5 runs for one person and 1.5 exalts for resetter. So 2 exalts for the people who are filling the group and 1.5 exalts for the resetter. So you have 2 exalts times 2 sets, which is 5 runs, and then 4 people. So this is 2 times 2 times 4 is 16, and then this is 1.5x plus 2 sets times 1 person for the resetter, which comes out to 19 exalts per hour. Now you have to factor in the cost of the sets. The cost of the sets after adding it all up is 73 chaos. And then since you're running 10 sets per hour, it comes out to 730 chaos, so roughly 7 exalts. So we get the total profit per hour of 12 exalts without including any drops. So if you do find 2 mirrors or 1 mirror or whatever they say they did find, you can actually get up to 100x per hour for a short span of time. Now, there's also some extra profit to keep in mind. Because KB in this build is there's no socket pressure at all for KB. They pretty much run 1 6-link KB, they run some auras, and then they run the mark on hit with Sniper's Mark, and they have a movement skill with dash. So they're able to level up 9 gems in the offhand with a bow, and 3 in quiver with Maloney's Mechanism. Maloney's Mechanism is a quiver that actually grants you 3 sockets. And they also are able to run 11 gems on gear because only links you need are Mark on Hit, Dash, Auras, and your KB link. So if we see here, let's see if we can look at this guy's profile. So this is one of the streamers who actually does it. And let me tell you, streaming and doing this is a dream because you'll be able to fill your groups instantly. So you can see here, this guy's leveling Awaken Minion damage, Awaken added Cold, Awaken Minion damage, so 3 gems there. LE Focus, added Lightning, Void Manipulation, Vicious Projectiles, LE damage, added Cold, Deadly Ailments, added Cold. So you can see here, he's leveling 20 gems total. And that's insane because the gems level up insanely fast in the 5 ways. And once they level up the Awakened Gems, they can sell them at level 5 for roughly 2 to 3 exalts profit. And that is huge, right? So after you factor this all in, and you factor this is 12 exalts per hour, and then you factor in that that doesn't even include any of the loot that drops, like the Glorious Vanity or Lethal Prides, and also the leveling up of a full set of gems, and you will get multiple sets. So they will probably come down to a really generous estimate, or on the low end, of 15 exalts per hour minimum after factoring drops and gem leveling. So you can probably bump this up to even like 20 exalts per hour depending on what drops you get. And yeah, so actually over 10 exalts per hour guaranteed. So let's go. Why is this method so profitable? This method is so profitable because it has a high barrier of entry and it's really boring, right? So this is pretty much you, right? You're running around in the circles for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. But you can say the same thing for someone farming like Delimir on Strand. You're just doing the same map over and over again. But this is a special type of boredom when you're just running around in a circle. Going around in a circle just gets to a lot of people. And the biggest thing, though, is definitely how you have to have a Headhunter and 3x Inspired Learnings that pretty much prices out a lot of people. But a lot of people also don't know about this method. A lot of people don't even know that TFT exists to find these 5-way rotations. Another thing is, if you're not exactly a people person, this is not the method for you. If you look at the Discord, you pretty much have to advertise yourself. You have to sell yourself to be the best 5-way carry in the world. Because you can see here, there's a lot of people, 10:06 a.m., 10:04 a.m., 10 a.m. So when you look at this, what actually stands out to you? Who looks the best, right? Obviously, if you have a really cool color in your name, then you're probably the best. But basically, look at this guy. This guy's going full out. The globe for the realm, the tips, the rules and payment with the scroll. So this looks pretty good, right? So you need to be able to sell yourself, and you also need to deal with people all the time, right? Unless you can fill up your group consistently and have them stay for a long time. And that's a huge thing that people don't really understand, is that dealing with people is super annoying in this game. And there's also probably going to be bound to be scammers. And yeah, so there's definitely also a streamer advantage to fill the slots. So you can see here, if there's someone with like a crazy color name because they're a partner content creator, or they're just asking in stream for people to fill up the 5 ways, then it's going to be a lot easier for them, right? So that's definitely some of the downsides of it and why this method is so profitable. So what's the overall conclusion that we have? Overall conclusion is, if you want to have these treasure troves of exalts and mirrors, look at these wonderful treasure chests. But that is exactly what you'll get. Best high-end currency money-making method, hands down, that involves killing monsters and not flipping your crafty. Flipping your crafty will always be unbeatable. If you have live searches, you can literally go flip a Watcher's Eye and make like 5 to 10 exalts profit instantly. This method has gotten a lot better due to the price of Legion emblems, and this is because more and more people have not realized how profitable Legion emblems are, and they haven't really been trying to do the method, and they're still pricing each run at the old prices, because before, it should definitely not be 2x per 5 runs. I think before in the past, they did charge 2 to 3x per run, per 5 runs, but now they're still charging roughly the same. And I do think as more and more people try to do this, whether it's through this video or because people are sick and tired of making like 5x per hour, that this will cause people to undercut each other. You can already see that this is already kind of happening, in that some people are charging 40 chaos per run, while other people are charging 100, or some people charge it based on 2 runs. And I do know some people are charging 80 chaos per 2 runs, and other people are charging 100 chaos per 2 runs, depending on their reputation. And then the people who have no rep are charging 60 chaos per 2 runs, right? So I do think that this method will not be around for super long, that people will start undercutting each other. Although Legion emblems might be going to the ground and how much they cost, so we'll see what happens. But in the end, this is an easy guaranteed 10x plus per hour, even without full efficiency. But I do not recommend this method if you hate repetitive gameplay loop and interacting with idiots, because you will lose your mind. Some people will just not trade you the money, or they'll trade you the wrong amount, and the game might crash and you might just have a terrible time. But if you can stomach it, if you're a streamer or something, or you have a lot of fans, this is definitely the money making method for you. And I guarantee that you will make over 10x per hour, or I will personally pay for your emblems. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors, exalts, and mage bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye.